Hey there, quiet storm. Sit down for a second. I've tried to begin this confession more times than I can count. Each attempt felt like a lie wearing better grammar. Words kept failing me, collapsing under the weight of what I'm about to dismantle in your understanding of the past. But avoidance has run its course. You deserve clarity, even if it fractures everything you thought was solid. Especially if it does. So I'll say it plainly, without theatrics. The person you believed you knew was never real. The name you saved, the voice you trusted, the history you memorized, those were all deliberate fabrications. A role, a mask, a psychological construct designed with you at the center. I was not born into that identity. I was assigned to it. Every preference, every anecdote, every harmless quirk was selected because data suggested it would resonate with you. Even the flaws were intentional. Even the scar had a purpose. Nothing about that version of me happened naturally, and the most disturbing part is how well it worked. I wasn't improvising friendship. I was executing it long before we met. People you will never see studied you in ways that would make coincidence feel naive. They knew what made you feel safe, what made you open up, what kind of humor disarmed you. They mapped your emotional rhythms, predicted your trust patterns, and taught me how to move within them undetected. When we crossed paths for the first time, you believed it was chance. It wasn't. I was told where to be, how to look, when to speak, and how long to wait before smiling, so it felt uncalculated. I hit every mark. You felt connection. I filed confirmation. When they recruited me, my life was already collapsing. I was broke, invisible, exhausted from pretending I wasn't failing. The offer didn't come with explanations, only incentives, stability, money, purpose, all in exchange for consistency and silence. I didn't understand the scope of what I was agreeing to. Only that desperation dulls caution. The training erased anyway. Months spent isolated, blindfolded during transport, drilled on details of your life I should never have known, your childhood wounds, your unspoken fears, private moments recorded from impossible angles. They didn't just study what you did, they studied who you might become. And they taught me how to slow that process down. Planned for years, I embedded myself into your life under the guise of loyalty. Every conversation doubled as intelligence. Every vulnerability you shared me. I documented your stress responses, your coping habits, the way your intuition surfaced, and how quickly you learned to suppress it. The reports were exhaustive. You weren't being observed as a danger. You were being managed like a variable, something valuable, volatile, and unfinished. I started asking questions too late. Why you? Why this level of precision? Why invest so much effort in someone whose life appeared ordinary? The answers never came directly, but the language around you changed. You were no longer discussed casually. You were referenced carefully, strategically, like an outcome still under negotiation. Splendid. That's when I realized my real assignment wasn't companionship. It was containment. My presence was meant to keep you comfortable, distracted, emotionally regulated. Whenever you sensed something was off, I was there to normalize it. When your instincts sharpened, I softened the edge. I didn't stop you from thinking. I redirected you just enough that you'd stop short of the truth. And you did have those moments, the unease, the sense of being observed, the dreams that felt like previews rather than fantasies. You told yourself it was imagination. It wasn't. Your intuition was accurate, and that terrified them. Lums, the night everything broke for me, came years in. When you were at your lowest, there was no script for that moment, no protocol. You weren't a subject. You were a human being unraveling in real time. You trusted me completely, and for a brief, irreversible stretch of minutes, I stopped pretending. I was present. I was real. And that authenticity nearly destroyed everything. They noticed. They always notice. When I tried to leave, the threat wasn't against me. It was against you. They promised to erase me from your memory, to rewrite your grief, to turn me into a tragedy you would mourn, without ever knowing it was manufactured. So I stayed, and something in me rotted quietly after that. But you didn't stagnate like they expected. You grew sharper, more discerning. You began stepping away from people who drained you, patterns that dulled you. Your instincts matured instead of fading. That's when I started altering the reports. Small distortions, strategic omissions. I made you seem less aware than you were, less awake. I don't know if that bought you time or sealed my fate. 2 weeks ago, I overheard a conversation I was never meant to hear. They called it a transition. Your window, they said, is opening, and they're undecided whether to guide you through it or close it permanently, not kill you, remove you, neutralize the variable, end the possibility. That's why I'm telling you now, not to absolve myself, not to be forgiven, but because whatever they're afraid of in you is real and it's active. Trust what you feel, question what doesn't align, and understand this above all else: you were never insignificant. You were never ordinary, and the fact that they needed someone like me to keep you asleep should tell you exactly how powerful you are when you're fully awake. When they argued about you, it was obvious the word they kept using didn't mean what it would in any normal conversation. Elimination wasn't spoken with violence in mind. It was spoken with efficiency. Others pushed back, insisting you were too rare, too specific, that whatever you carry can't simply be reproduced. Once destroyed, they spoke about you like a phenomenon, not a person. I don't pretend to understand what they believe is inside you, or what this so-called window represents. I was never given that clearance. But fear leaves fingerprints, and theirs were everywhere. They're terrified of what happens the moment you stop doubting yourself, the moment you finally look at your life without the filters they've layered over it. Because once you see clearly, the balance shifts. And whatever comes next isn't something they can manage, isn't an apology. An apology would suggest that honesty alone could undo 7 years of calculated closeness, and that would be a lie on top of all the others. I'm writing because you need to know this. Your suspicion was never madness. Your isolation wasn't accidental. Your self-doubt was installed deliberately, reinforced every time you were encouraged to question your own perceptions instead of the world around you. When you felt like the only one in the room sensing something wrong, you weren't unstable. You were accurate. You have adversaries who have never introduced themselves, and protectors who will never reveal their faces. And somewhere deep within the design of your life, there is an opening you were never meant to notice. I don't know where it is. I was never trusted with that knowledge. My only instruction was to keep your attention turned elsewhere. But I've watched you long enough to know this. You have a history of discovering what's been hidden from you. That's why they never let you sit alone with your thoughts for too long. Blaines, you need to be careful now. Not afraid but awake. Be wary of anyone who entered your life too smoothly. Relationships that felt pre-written, connections that arrived without friction. The most convincing bonds are often the most carefully constructed. I wasn't the only presence assigned to orbit you. There were others. I saw them listed in reports. Co-workers, romantic interests, familiar faces who seemed to appear exactly when needed. Some of them are aware of their role. Some are not. Some are trapped the way I was, carrying guilt they can't confess and fear they can't outrun. Don't dismantle your world with panic. Observe it with precision. Fear fragments the mind. Clarity sharpens it. You have an uncommon ability to detect patterns where others see coincidence. They've spent years flooding that ability with interference. Stop letting the static convince you the signal is broken. Lean, your past hasn't been erased. They didn't rewrite you. They simply layered distractions over what was already there. People, events, emotions, meant to pull focus from what you've always known at a deeper level. Strip away what feels artificial, and you'll find yourself intact beneath it, waiting patiently. As for me, I won't be here after this reaches you. I don't know where I'm going, only that staying is no longer an option. I've taken steps that might delay consequences, but I'm pushing against forces whose reach I never fully understood. If I vanish, don't grieve for me as I was presented to you. That person was a fabrication. Grieve him if you must. He was designed to serve a purpose and never allowed to choose otherwise. But understand this, not every moment between us was false. Some of it escaped the framework. The night I stayed with you while you broke apart. That was real. The times you made me forget my role, even briefly, were real. The quiet conversations in the early hours, when sleep wouldn't come and I pretended I was restless too, just so you wouldn't feel alone. Those moments mattered to me. I wasn't meant to feel anything. I did anyway. That was my failure. And maybe in the end, the only honest thing about me, you're going to feel rage when this settles in, and that reaction is justified. Don't suppress it. Let it move through you, but don't let it harden into another enclosure. That's what they're hoping for. They're relying on your past pain to lock you in place, to fracture your trust so completely that forward motion feels impossible. If you freeze, they win without having to act. Refuse that outcome. Whatever it is you carry, they want it badly enough to study you for years, and they fear it enough to avoid crushing you outright. I can't define it, and I was never told its name, but I've seen it surface when you thought you were alone. Brief, moments of unmistakable clarity where everything around you seemed to pause. Moments where understanding arrived without reasoning, where awareness skipped the steps logic usually demands. There were times you looked at me and I felt exposed, as if you were seeing past the voice, the gestures, the mask, straight into the deception beneath. Maybe you sensed it all along. Maybe some deeper part of you recognized the performance and still chose compassion anyway. That would make sense. You've always been someone who notices damage and doesn't turn away from it. Blend. I was damaged when they recruited me. I was emptier than I admitted, desperate enough to accept a role that hollowed me out. I'm more fractured now than I was then, but fracture doesn't always mean ruin. Sometimes it's the point of entry. I learned that by watching you endure things that should have erased you. Instead of collapsing, you adapted. You transformed injury into awareness, pain into precision. That kind of resilience can't be installed or trained. It has to be lived. And because they don't understand it, they underestimate it. That's your advantage. Somewhere in the structure they've built around you, there is an exit they've tried to disguise. I don't know where it is, but I know it exists. Find it, Step through it. Become the version of yourself that unsettles them enough to keep them awake. And if you ever think of me after this, don't hold on to the image I presented. That version was an assignment. Nothing more is what I actually was. Someone who stayed silent for far too long and finally chose to speak. Anyway, that decision, at least, was mine. I won't attach the name you know. It belongs to a role that no longer serves anyone. Instead, take this as the only signature I can offer. I regret that I wasn't brave enough to choose you freely. You deserved someone who arrived by will, not instruction. You will find people like that. Real ones. I believe that completely. Just move carefully. Not every display of grief is honest. Some tears are practiced, some sorrow is rehearsed, and some of the faces that will approach you still answer to the same forces that sent me. Trust your perception. It's sharper than they ever expected.